On this episode, what we can all learn from the process of building my personal brand.
Welcome to the Social Media Freelancer, the show that helps you elevate your freelance business and achieve the work-life balance you desire. Now here's your host, Josh Hoffman.
Welcome to episode number 1 of the Social Media Freelancer. I'm your host, Josh Hoffman, creator of the Social Media Freelancer. Now, today I want to talk about personal branding, and I'm sure a lot of you not only have heard that term, but are somewhat familiar with the idea of personal branding. And so if you know me, which many of you actually do, then you know that I'm a devout believer in the importance, in fact, I would go as far as to say the necessity of developing a personal brand today, regardless if you work for yourself, if you're a freelancer, if you work for somebody else, whatever. Now, here's the thing with personal branding. A personal brand is the same thing as a brand of a company, meaning that the idea is to develop perceived value and leverage for the individual behind the personal brand. How you deploy that added value and that leverage, that's totally up to you. But last time I checked, no one really ever complained about having more opportunity now and in the future. So I started getting serious about my personal brand about 2 years ago in 2014. And that was about 2 years after I started my social media and content marketing freelance business. So if you're doing the math, I started the business in 2012, and 2 years later in 2014, I started getting serious about my personal brand. Back then in 2014, I started to build my personal brand around the nickname Social Media Josh, which many of you know. In fact, I bought the domain name socialmediajosh.com. I built a fancy website on Squarespace. At least I thought it was fancy. And I even added a catchphrase, quote, just a guy who knows a lot about social media. And so about a year later, now in 2015, I started to realize that a personal brand isn't just a cute nickname or a nice catchphrase or a fancy website or a LinkedIn account that's basically inactive. In my estimation and experience, systematically and strategically creating content that contextualizes and amplifies your personal brand, and then using that content to continuously build and engage a relevant growing network of people at scale is the most effective way to do so. In other words, let me give you an example. When I meet people, whether it's online or offline, people that are potentially relevant to my business, I make it a point of connecting with them on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. And then, knowing that I can't scale one-to-one engagement with each of these people over the long run, I create and share interesting, informative, and entertaining content with the purpose of staying top of mind. I'm sure a lot of you have heard the saying or the term top of mind marketing. That's the exact idea here as well. Now, of course, I also nurture some of these relationships with one-to-one interactions, but not everyone, including myself, has time to nurture relationships with every single person we meet now and in the future on a day-to-day basis. So the idea is to pick and choose the relationships that you want to nurture with those one-to-one interactions. But then when you can't nurture every single one, you're now using your content, which is a combination of interesting, informative, and entertaining, to continue to stay relevant in people's lives. Now, I should point out, and most people who create content on a regular basis already know, that consistently and continuously putting out content is psychologically grueling. Really, it is. And I'm not saying that to scare you, I just want to warn you or prepare you for the journey ahead. If you're thinking about getting into the content game for your personal brand, please know that there will definitely be times when you spend hours creating content only to have 20-something people read, watch, or listen to it on LinkedIn, Medium, Facebook, and Twitter combined. As Erica Berger, who's a media entrepreneur formerly employed by News Corp and The Economist, says, quote, creating media value has always been a game for the long run, not for the weak of heart, end quote. And just so we're on the same page here, media and content are the same thing. Now, I only started to systematically and strategically create my own content on a daily basis because my friend Alon Shabo kept imploring me to take my brand as serious as I take those of our clients. And now I'm imploring you to do the same, to take your brand as serious as those of your clients or your future clients if you're getting ready to build your own freelance business. Today I can tell you that there isn't any coincidence that my business enjoyed its most success in the same year that I started getting serious about my personal brand. However, The days of social media Josh are now over because in the age of digital media, it seems there's so many people who try to build personal brands around certain platforms and channel, Facebook expert or LinkedIn ninja or Instagram guru, whatever. And at least in my opinion, the problem is that when these platforms and channels inevitably go by the wayside or when they lose their pizzazz, so too will the reputation of the people who built their personal brands around them. After all, I don't think the folks who developed expert status around the fax machine are licking their chops right about now. Now, of course, I never positioned myself as an expert around a specific channel or platform, but I understand that social media as a whole, as Gary Vaynerchuk likes to say, is the current state of the internet. And so it's only a matter of time before we transition away from the current state of the internet into the next state. And this is really the point of this podcast, because the number one lesson that I've learned from cultivating, nurturing, and molding my personal brand is that you can't get romantic about it and you can't get comfortable, right? You always have to be evolving. You always have to be thinking about the next step, the next transition, the next whatever. Now here's the thing. I was getting romantic about my personal brand, about being social media Josh, because there was a time when I would bask in my own glory because people would consistently refer to me as social media Josh, both in my personal and professional lives. It basically became my alter ego. Now I've removed social media Josh from my personal brand, and I'm just going with my personal name, Josh Hoffman, a digital marketing consultant who specializes in social media and content marketing, who's the founder of Yarn, who loves basketball, who loves the Lakers, who's addicted to coffee, who's addicted to sushi, etc., etc. The ironic thing is that when I started my social media and content marketing business, one of my first clients explained to me that people won't remember you because of your position or title. They're going to remember you because of your name and because of the evolving associations that come with it. Now it's time for our community member spotlight, and in this episode I want to give a big shout out to Shayna Steigerwald, who actually has become a friend of mine since joining the social media freelancer community. Shayna's based out of Philadelphia, where she runs Modern Driven Media, and for more about Modern Driven Media you can go to moderndrivenmedia.com. But the thing that really impresses me about Shayna is that she reached out to me. In addition to being a part of the social media freelancer community, she reaches out to me and we have a phone call. She had a few questions about some logistical things that she wanted to figure out with one of her clients. And I think that's so important, that in the age of social media, in the age of being able to have direct connection and direct engagement with not just businesses and organizations, with other people that may be able to help you in somehow, some way. And so I would just encourage you to reach out to people in any aspect of your life that you feel is relevant, not just in your business or in your freelancing life, but in your personal life and different aspects where you feel you'd like to reach out and get advice, insights, etc. Definitely reach out. Don't be shy, because people might not want to give you their money, but they're not afraid to give you a few minutes of their time. And so when Shayna reached out to me, not only was I humbled that she would come to me and ask me for different pieces of advice about freelancing and about working with clients, but I'm also really impressed at what I've seen from Shayna and Modern Driven Media over the last handful of months. It really looks like they're doing some great stuff over there. In fact, I know Shayna is now taking herself to the new level, because last time we talked, she now has a few interns. I think she also might have a few employees. So great job, Shayna. Keep up the good work, and definitely, like I said, check out what she's doing, moderndrivenmedia.com. Well, that wraps up this episode of The Social Media Freelancer. If you haven't already joined our community at The Social Media Freelancer, just go to thesocialmediafreelancer.com. Don't forget the at the beginning, thesocialmediafreelancer.com, and take advantage of our free online courses, templates, recommended tools, and community for social media professionals who want to build and elevate their freelance business. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to The Social Media Freelancer, both on iTunes and on Stitcher, and we always appreciate reviews and ratings on those platforms as well. Until next time, I'm Josh Hoffman, saying so long from Los Angeles.
This has been another presentation of The Social Media Freelancer. For more knowledge and insights about freelancing, visit thesocialmediafreelancer.com.